Finding Narnia, the story of C.S. Lewis and his brother by Caroline McAllister, illustrated by Jessica Lennon. Jack and Warnie weren't just brothers, they were best friends, but they were very different. From the beginning, it was Jack who dreamed up stories of other worlds. Warnie liked to sit in the wide picture window of their new house and watch the busy world of the Belfast shipyards. He could see teams of men hammering sheets of metal over the skeletons of huge ocean liners. Jack preferred to look through the window of his imagination. He browsed the bookshelves that lined the walls. When he read about Balder the Brave, who was so bright that light could shine through him, the story was more real to him than any ocean liner. Sometimes, Warnie pretended to be an Indian Raja. He drew maps of railways with trains that crisscrossed the vast Indian continent on a strict schedule. Sometimes Jack pretended to be a brave knight. He sketched a map of a dagger-shaped isle ruled by a mouse king whose castle was under attack. Once in a while, Warnie's Raja would visit Jack's island and help the knight defend the castle. Every now and then, Jack's knight would visit the Raja and ride a train through the Indian hill country. In spite of their differences, it was always fun to play together. One rainy day, the brothers were exploring the long hall of the new house. In a little room next to the attic full of hat boxes and steamer trunks, Jack found an old wardrobe. He turned the knob. The hinges creaked. He sputtered and coughed. The smell of mothballs made him gag. But he burrowed behind the rough wool and tickly fur anyway. What if the wardrobe had no end, he wondered. Warnie stayed outside. Perhaps he even warned Jack, "Don't shut yourself in." The brothers always looked out for each other. When Jack and Warnie's mother fell ill, the house was busy with doctors coming and going. The strange medicine smells wafted down the long hallways. Downstairs, their father paced the big empty rooms. Upstairs, Jack made his own imaginary world, and Warnie joined him. They called it Boxen. Jack drew a map of Boxen's teeming capital city. He sketched the Parliament House, the stock exchange, shipyards, a train station, and a music hall. Warnie designed a steamship to travel from Boxen to India and back. He included an engine room, a telegraph, and an anchor winch. Jack wrote Boxen's newspaper. Warnie made Boxen's railroad schedule, and together they held a double coronation where Jack and Warnie wore their crowns and smiled and waved. Day after day, as they played in the small room in the big, sad house, Jack wondered, what if they could escape to Boxen and stay there? But when their mother died, their father sent Jack and Warnie away to boarding school. They dressed up in stiff Eton collars, awkward knickerbocker pants, and comical bowler hats and crossed the Irish Sea to England. Jack hated the strange English accents and flat brown fields. He feared the headmaster with his thick beard and heavy cane, and he never got to read the stories he loved. Instead, he worked on endless math problems. He longed for the holidays when he and Warnie could return to the attic and Boxen. Only then could Jack wonder, what if? Many years passed. The whole world went to war. Separated in different regiments, Jack and Warnie worried about each other. When the war ended, Jack became a teacher at Oxford. He was an important man who gave serious lectures and wrote long books. but sometimes he saw things through the window of his imagination. Warnie continued to work for the army. Whether he was stationed in Colchester, Woolwich, or Shanghai, he sat behind a desk and typed forms, long forms and short forms, forms in black ink and forms in red ink. At long last, Warnie retired from the army and moved in with Jack. Once again, the two brothers lived together in a spacious house whose walls were lined with books. There was even a wardrobe, the same wardrobe from their old home in Ireland, where they used to pretend they were the princes of Boxen. Another terrible war broke out. Families in London sent their children to the countryside to be safe from the bombs. On Sundays, Jack noticed the church was full of refugee children, squirming uncomfortably on unfamiliar pews among unfamiliar people. He didn't know much about children, but he figured he and Warnie could help out. That's how two girls came to stay with Jack and Warnie. One rainy day, the girls were exploring the house, and they found the old wardrobe. They turned the doorknob. The hinges creaked. They sputtered and coughed. The smell of mothballs made them gag. The girls asked Jack, "What's on the other side?" The question opened a creaky door in Jack's mind. For the first time in a very long time, he began to wonder, what if? Scritch, scratch. He wrote and wrote. Every time he paused to dip his pen in ink, a new idea came to him. First, the lamppost and fawn came alive. Then two boys and two girls entered through a wardrobe. Tip-tap, Warnie deciphered Jack's inky scribbles and typed a clean copy on his royal typewriter. The story reminded him of Boxen, but the story wasn't about Boxen. That story ended long ago. This story was about a place called Narnia. Covered in snow, Narnia still glows with light from an enchanted lamppost. A fawn with an umbrella steps from behind the trees. A family of beavers waits in the bushes. A white witch glides on a sled. And a majestic lion watches them all.